Hey, I'm Ilya Friedman from Hot Rod Cameras and the Cinematography Podcast. I'm in the Hot Rod Cameras shooting space, but over in the showroom is Dane Fuentes, who also works here at Hot Rod Cameras. Say hello, Dane.
Hi everyone, I'm Dane. I am very far away from Ilya here in the showroom at Hot Rod Cameras.
There's a lot of people on YouTube who review gear and they give you a long list of specs. Looking at specs is a great way to understand equipment and to figure out what might be the right thing for you. But I don't think there's any substitute for actually talking to people who are using the gear and working with it on a daily basis. Here at Hot Rod, we have a lot of clients, a lot of rental houses, a lot of owner-operators who use this gear, and everyone is really excited about the new Sony FX6. Typically, in either a camera test or review you'll see on YouTube, you get to see a lot of pretty pictures. That's great, but not always helpful for professionals who need more information beyond how nice something looks. Like how easy or hard is it to make a camera fail? Our clients want to hear if there are any big imaging problems and where it all falls apart. We did a rather exhaustive image quality and usability test on the FX6, poring over footage, pixel peeping, and really trying to break it. You can break it, but it's not easy, and that's a really good thing. The purposeful image destroying isn't fair to show in a public forum without explaining the methodology and context, and that could take a lot of time, and we promise to reveal some of the ways that we do that in future videos. But if you have questions about anything or want to buy something, call us at Hot Rod Cameras. We'll get to the pretty pictures in just a moment. Overall, it's an incredible camera, and it does some really, really cool stuff, including amazing autofocus. The autofocus is second to none in a cinema camera right now. It also has incredible low light performance, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, and incredibly flexible coloring and grading available in camera. The in-camera grading, the ability to control the look inside the camera, I'm not aware of any other camera that can do something like this at this price point, which means that you can match this to multiple cameras. So it's a little cinema camera, it's a little broadcast camera. It has a really, really cool kit lens too. Actually, two cool kit lenses. One is a 24-105 full frame f4, and you think, f4, that's a little slow for shooting most situations. Well, when you've got a base ISO of 12,800, your high base, that means f4 is a totally usable lens now. The other lens, which is really interesting, has a built-in servo motor, and it's cinema style, but it also can be autofocus, which is something you don't typically see in a cine style lens. And because it's got a servo motor, you've got a little servo control right along the side, and built into the top handle and hand grip of the FX6 is pressure sensitive zoom control, which means you can do those little creeping zooms or those fast zooms or whatever you would like, because the pressure that you press affects how fast the zoom motor moves. Dane, we did a lot of stuff with this on a tilt-a-float system and on the Ronin RS2. What was your thoughts about how this balanced and how it worked in that configuration?
The FX6 handled itself very well in both scenarios, both meaning the tilt-a-float system and then just the Ronin RS2. We're able to move it in quite a few different ways. There was a little bit of a sort of learning curve in terms of operating, as you'll have with any sort of gimbal or Steadicam style system. But the FX6 is small enough and light enough that it was very feasible to work in both of those ways, and the fact that the autofocus performs very well meant that we were able to shoot without using a follow focus at all. And in fact, we made the decision not to take one with us, not to attempt manual focus at any point. Our goal was to try to really push it, try to find where the point of failure would be for the autofocus system. And we didn't find it. We were able to operate in both low light and in daylight, wide open on both of the lenses that we use. So as Ilya mentioned, that was in f2.8. And in both scenarios, they performed very admirably.
Usually the first thing people will talk about this camera is the built-in variable ND filter. We haven't even really mentioned that at all until just this point, because despite it being amazing, it's been around for a little bit, and also it's not the most amazing thing in this camera. The full frame sensor, the super low light sensitivity, and the autofocus capabilities are all incredible for a digital cinema camera, especially one so small and so inexpensive. When you add in the variable ND, the electronic variable ND built into the camera, it kind of takes it to a whole other level. We used 0 filters with this camera when we were out shooting in the daytime, and then we cranked up the ISO to the high base of 12,800, and we shot then in almost no light when the sun was going down until even after the sun went down. And the performance, well, you can see it for yourself here. Rebecca, friend of Hot Rod Cameras, was nice enough to play this guitar for us for a while, and we shot some footage here in the dark. And there's tons of detail in the mountains, detail on her, also color saturation, which we couldn't see to the naked eye. So low light capability, autofocus, variable ND, plus also the ability to use LUTs in the camera, many LUTs in the camera, either as a creative choice that you can customize and use the built-in matrix and multi-matrix to match cameras, or to shoot S-Log and just send the LUTs out to your LCD screens. That's really, really huge. And we could go into all the details about how, like, oh, you know, compared to the FS5, they removed the EVF. I don't think people are going to miss it. This is a little cinema camera, and even though there's XLR ports that are only available on the top handle, and some people might want to take that off and go, oh, I don't have a place to plug in audio anymore. There wasn't a lot of audio in cinema for a long time, and really this handle is not that big, and if you just need to put that in to get audio in, I think it's going to be no compromise for the event shooter, for the people who have to go run and gun. This camera is super small, super balanceable, and I think it's pretty unrivaled as far as the full feature broadcast and cinema specs go at this price point. There's not a lot of other cameras out there that can do this with timecode in and out, with HD SDI and HDMI, really long life batteries. Dane, what am I missing? What else should I mention about this camera?
The most important takeaway that I had was the variety of scenarios that it enables you to shoot in. It's going to function well on 24 frame per second motion picture shoots. It's going to function well on commercial shoots. It's really going to shine for event, documentary, unscripted type, run and gun scenarios, because of the combination of the low light capability combined with the autofocus will not only enable you to capture images in low light, but as Ilya mentioned, f4 lenses become an option. So now a 24-105 f4 can be an extreme low light lens for you, which means you don't have to make the choice between having a wide angle and having a short telephoto. The other thing that enables you to do is stop down even more if you need depth of field, if you're doing something like event coverage where it's actually more important to be able to see more of the people in your frame and focus on more items or more objects, then you now can start to shoot at more stop-down apertures and capture more of what's in front of you. And that's not something that's been available before. Even a 5000 ISO doesn't offer you that. So the total package of the features of the camera are really amazing, and we think it's going to empower people to shoot in a really wide variety of conditions.
I think that's just about going to do it for us. The FX6 is an incredible camera, and if you have questions about it or want to know how it compares in the lineup of other cameras out there in the world, give us a call at Hot Rod Cameras, and be sure to like, subscribe, and all the usual stuff here on YouTube, and we'll see you on the next video.
Bye.